Hello and welcome to another episode of the Biz Coach Show, and actually a pretty special episode because Eric has a special announcement for us today. But before we dive into that, Eric, how are you doing?
I'm doing excellent, David, and yourself?
I am doing really good and excited to kind of unpack something that we've been working toward for the last couple of weeks. For those of you that follow Eric on LinkedIn, he posted just a couple of days ago about a new direction that he's headed in and kind of a new partnership that he's alerting everybody to. And so we're going to take just a little bit of time today to unpack the announcement, kind of better understand what this new partnership is, what it's all about, and how it affects you, our viewer. So Eric, kind of tell us all about it, man.
Yeah, so a few months ago, we started, well, I should say over the last 2 years, right, in our experience with My Biz Coaches, one of the things we've uncovered many times, I know you've experienced it yourself, is that a lot of our clients, as good as they are at what they do, often have challenges with certain aspects of the business. Finance is a category that is often overlooked, not given quite the attention that it needs, and more specifically, helping business owners not only understand their finance position, but getting access to capital. And you've heard me quote some of the statistics in the past. 82% of businesses that are no longer in business they acknowledge the number one reason is either not enough sales or lack of access to capital. And so getting business credit, establishing good business credit, and having the ability to get access to capital through credit or other or sources like that is just imperative, right? For these companies. You can't account for things that are going to potentially happen with your business, right? We've had enough. We've had three major economic pullbacks, right? Yep. Significant pullbacks in the last 20 years, and each of those equated to hundreds of thousands of businesses in many cases shutting down and going out of business because they just don't have the access to capital, credit specifically, to be able to ebb and flow when the business is up and down. And so the challenge we continue to uncover, even with good quality businesses, right? They don't know what they don't know about business credit, how to establish business credit, and how to get access to capital when they need it. And the problem is when you need it, it's going to cost a lot more, and it's going to be a lot harder to qualify for. So the truth of the matter is, we've said it many times, you need to get it in advance, you need to set it up before you need it, and you need to know the steps that you need to take to be prepared for that conversation with the banks. So whether it's a bank or some other lending institution, the point is there is a certain process that you want to go through to prepare for that. So all of that said, recognizing this experience, having 54 clients in the last 5 years now for myself with My Biz Coaches, I've uncovered that a lot of my clients, even those clients, as I give them the information, they're like, I didn't know that, right? And so what we've determined over the last year, there's a significant opportunity to really help our clients, and as it relates to specifically finance and business credit, helping them understand how to establish good credit for themselves, how to, and not their personal credit, but their business credit and eventually their corporate credit, where they can get no recourse loans, which is the ultimate scenario for an entrepreneur starting a business or running a business, I should say more specifically, so that they can get the credit they need to be able to expand, to grow, and in some cases, even just to have access to capital when the months you get one or two bad months in a row and you're like, wow, how am I going to cover the payroll? Right. That's never a good scenario for a business owner to be in because you don't make good business decisions when you're worried about whether or not you can cover the rent next week.
Right. Well,
so
I think
go ahead.
Oh, so yeah, and even beyond that, I know we've talked a number of times about even if you're fine today, you may need access to that if all of a sudden you have a great opportunity pop in front of you and you need to expand distribution or hire a bunch more people, and you just can't go out and turn a switch and get all that finance coming in. So you have to take the steps now proactively to prepare for it.
Exactly. And so some of the mistakes that our clients we found were making, they go and apply for a loan with the bank, but they didn't prepare themselves accordingly. And consequently, they get denied. Well, then the problem is you get denied. That actually hurts your chances to apply again.
Right.
And it's just like if you apply for a personal credit card or a personal loan, you go to the bank and you apply 2 or 3 times, it's going to dramatically impact your score, and you start getting immediately declined because they're like, no, you've asked too many times now, so now we're just going to cut you off.
Yeah, and when you get that denial, they don't tell you what or why or what you need to do to fix it, and so are stuck in this loop of frustration, but damaging your credit even more every single time.
Exactly. And so to that point, recognizing that our clients just really don't have this education and they're missing a key component of being able to grow and scale their business, right? And even if it isn't grow and scale, it's just making sure that you have something there as a backstop in case, a COVID scenario happens again or something, that effect, right? So all of that said, we've been working in the past. In the last year and a half, 2 years, we introduced a number of credit programs where we could do, some credit card stacking programs, or maybe it was access to loans or building business corporate credit. And so recently I partnered up with a friend and we came up with an idea, and I should say that we really kind of piggybacked off his idea and said, hey, look, we've got this opportunity. A lot of our clients need this solution. And so we came up with a new idea where we're going to provide business credit coaching. And what that will do is it will provide our clients the insight that they need to prepare for those conversations with the bank. So we'll help them get their finances in order. We'll help them make sure that their books need to look the way they need to, the bank statements, the P&Ls, the balance sheets and all of that, along with a good business plan that actually tells the bank, hey, this is how much I want to borrow. This is what we're going to use it for. And this is how we can show ourselves paying it back, right? This is all information that most people, when they go to apply, have no idea that they need that information. Right. And so we're going to help them through that process. There's lots of lenders out there that offer that, but they're already in that. They're already begun that process. We're there as an education component. So yes, we can provide financing as well, but our primary focus is the education. So we created a new company, and I partnered up with my friend Ryan, and so we'll be doing we have a new company called SMBC Solutions, and SMBC Solutions is designed specifically to help us promote the education of business credit and how to get business credit, how to establish or grow and scale business credit, so that you can get access to the capital that you need for your business. And with that, I took the role of president and chief operating officer. And our primary focus with that organization is to leverage the business coaching experience that we've had for the last 5 years, bring in some of those experienced coaches that we currently have worked with, and allow them to and educate them on this whole process of business credit. Many of them already are experienced of it to some degree. So we're going to give them really in-depth knowledge that we've been able to accumulate with. This is a space that Ryan was in for a number of years. So we're going to leverage that, tie that to the business coaching solutions, and make this available to our clients, both as a standalone solution as well as an incremental solution for the people that are existing My Biz Coach clients.
Yeah, and what's really cool about that, and really, I mean, My Biz Coaches in general, right, is there's always these new partnerships that are coming up. This one's a little bit bigger deal than most, but where it's kind of that all-in-one solution. So instead of trying to find, 5 or 6 different coaches or vendors or whatever to help with your needs, come to My Biz Coaches, and they've got all these different things, and now kind of, the education component of business credit, which is really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was what was really important to me, David, with this partnership was I wanted them to approach it. Yes, we have access to financing. Yes, we work with multiple lenders through a broker. We have over 200 different lenders that we can make available and products and solutions. It's not us doing that, but we put them in front of the right people. But what our primary focus, my primary concern was, let's prepare the client before we put them in front of these solutions, right? And let's make sure, because I could tell you, literally had a conversation with somebody else who's in a similar space where they do the lending. We met at a networking meeting and we're having a conversation, and he was telling me of a story who's somebody who had an HVAC business and really successful. They're doing $50,000 a month and the business is growing. He decided he wanted to do some other type of project where they were buying a bunch of products and then they're going to resell them. So he went and got a loan, pretty sizable loan. And because he did it and wanted it right now, He didn't get the best terms on it. He paid more than he probably should have for the money. It wasn't terrible, but here's the problem. He borrowed the money, didn't have a great plan for distribution for buying this product, bought this product, and he got sold, in my opinion, on this idea that he could buy this and sell this product. Didn't have a good plan on how to sell it. Now he's still sitting on the inventory. He's been paying on the debt, and so much so he put himself in such a bad situation that now the business is actually defaulting on the loan. So, wow. and it really stems back to, it sounded like a great idea, but because he didn't stop and have that conversation with somebody who might say, hey, okay, well, that's a great idea. I think there's an opportunity here. Let's make sure we have a good plan on how to distribute this products and or whatever the scenario is. But in this case, let's make sure we have a good plan to get those products out there and get them. Let's pre-sell them before you go and buy them, or whatever. Something that would make more sense than to go out and just borrow against the current business and against an unproven concept, right? And again, I hear those stories all the time from other people. And I want to help as much as I can to make sure people understand what they're getting themselves into. And we can do SBA loans, we can do micro loans, and we have access to all these different resources. The key with every one of them, and if anybody says one is bad or the other is better or whatever, it all depends, right? You've heard me say that a million times on this show. It all depends. What works for you, David, may not work for my business. It may not be the right solution. An SBA loan has its benefits, significant benefits, but it also has some real drawbacks that some people don't want to, tie themselves to. Same thing with some of the other loan opportunities or credit building opportunities. You need to know what you're signing up for before you commit to it. And that's where a lot of people make mistakes.
Well, that's really the beauty of this partnership, right? Is because you have financing, you have the education component around financing, but even maybe more importantly is the individualized coaching around, is this the right thing for your business? And what are you going to do with it? And how does that fit into your overall strategy, right? And everything else. And so I think that's a really cool thing that you guys have going with this unique partnership arrangement.
Agreed. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. So, one of the things that really resonates with me, I found the statistic the other day we were talking about, is 53% of small business owners rely on personal credit for their business needs. And the problem with relying on personal credit, as you well know, David, is that you start running up that debt, it dramatically impacts your score. So now let's say you're in a situation where you'd like to go out and buy a new truck for the company. Well, if you have a 620 FICO, either you're not going to qualify at all, or if you do qualify, you're going to pay through the nose in interest rates, and you're going to pay a much larger down payment to acquire that vehicle. That doesn't make that vehicle as cost effective at that point, right? Your credit score is going to impact the ability to get it and or how much it costs for that equipment. So these are all factors that most people don't understand. And so when you have business credit, the business credit acts as a standalone, like it does not reflect in your personal FICO score. And as you build business credit, you can have its own individual score for your business. And even though you may have to personally guarantee it in the beginning, ultimately you can eventually move from that. Yeah. Now, there's certain income requirement, not income, but revenue requirements for the business to be able to get that to a point where you can get what we call the non-recourse loans, meaning you don't have to personally guarantee, or put assets up to get the loan or something like that. You may put business assets up, but you don't put your personal assets up to protect it, to guarantee the loan. And so there's options for that. Those are harder to get, obviously, but the whole idea is if you don't start working to build your credit now, your business credit specifically, then the odds of being able to qualify for that at any point in the future are non-existent. Yeah. You have to do the work now to build and get ready for that. And if you plan on being in business for 5 or 10 years, I guarantee you in the next 5 or 10 years, you're going to have at least 3 and maybe as many as 5 different opportunities over the course of that 5 to 10 year span of time that you are going to have a cash shortfall or an opportunity that you want to capitalize on or a need to buy equipment. And you're going to wish that you had a good business credit score that you could leverage to take advantage of that.
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned it earlier, right? Kind of these major economic things. I feel like every 2 weeks there's some, first time ever life-changing event that we're living through. But, in the event that, something negatively impacts your business, how much more peace of mind you have not having your personal credit tied up with your business if things go
Exactly.
sideways, right? And so
Yep.
even more reason to start that process now, or at least, meet with you, learn more about it, get the education component, even if you don't need to go out and get it right now. At least you know what steps you can be taking proactively to make sure you're set up for when you do, and maybe you never do, but at least you have the option, right? Options make you
Right.
sleep a whole lot better, in my experience.
Absolutely. And a great example of that, David, is a company that has, let's say you're doing $400,000 in top line revenue, and let's say you net out of that 100,000 a year. So you have a decent income. You make about 100,000 a year in personal living that you live on. Maybe have one or two employees, depending on your business model. But let's just say that business takes a 20% hit, right? So instead of 400,000, you're now doing 320,000 for a year, just 1 year. Well, that 80,000, now you're out of your 100,000 take home. That might not be 100,000. As a matter of fact, more likely it's closer to like 40,000, right? Because whatever you have your fixed costs that you can't avoid, and
Right.
adjust for a variable cost, whatever variable costs are factored in there. But the likelihood that you're going to make 100,000 is non-existent now if you take a 20% hit in top line sales. So let's say it's 40, let's call it 50,000 just to be safe. Well, can you afford to adjust your lifestyle by $50,000 next year, David?
Nope.
Yeah. That's not without making some significant adjustments, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a very different lifestyle. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the challenge is that's what happens to business owners all the time. And here's the worst part. Let's say now that I use my personal credit to offset that shortfall for the year, right? I make some adjustments. I cut back on a few things. I don't go on a vacation, which all are sucky scenarios to begin with, right? But let's say that I do what I got to do to keep the business afloat, and I get by on 50,000. But in doing so, I also increase my personal debt by $20,000, and let's say the majority of that's on credit cards.
Yep.
Well, now my credit score just took a 30, 60, 80 point drop. Oh, darn, my car just broke down and I need to buy a new car. Yeah, well, guess what? If you have a 620 FICO instead of 700, it's going to be a lot harder to get a car now.
Right.
You're putting money down that you don't have. You're going to pay a lot more in interest than you would have. And the likelihood of getting the car that you were hoping to get is probably not realistic either. You're probably downsizing the car too, on top of everything else, just because you're carrying an extra $20,000 in debt that's actually the business debt, which, oh, by the way, is actually bad for your corporate exposure because that actually pierces the corporate veil because you've been commingling personal and business funds.
Yep.
Right. All of which is a part of our education. People just don't understand these things. Again, you don't know what you don't know. And there are so many people out there that are trying to get by and they don't understand that there's these tools and resources. It takes a little bit of time. If you're willing to make the investment and understand how to do it correctly, you enhance your chances dramatically. And to your point a moment ago, it's better to have the options. You'll sleep a lot better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Well, good stuff. I know we're going to continue to unpack it more and more probably over the next couple episodes, but anything else about the new partnership that you want to highlight today before we wrap up?
So the main thing I'd say is that if you have interest, I encourage you to go check out our sites. The SMBCsolutions.com is the our main site, and take a look at the site, learn more about our company. There's a couple of different videos in there, explain some of the details about how we operate, what we do for our clients, how we help them find the best opportunity for themselves. And I would encourage you, you can schedule an appointment right there on the website. Go in there, click schedule that website. You can actually go to my individual page, and you have a link in there where you can schedule a time to speak with me, and we can sit down and talk about the options and what the different solutions that we can show you that are available for you now, and then we can give you the education and the process, put you through the process of the education to prepare you for the opportunities later.
Awesome. Sounds good. Well, yeah, like I said, very exciting. Just another way that MyBiz Coaches is helping out business owners. And we just encourage you, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future episodes, other exciting partnership announcements, and valuable content like this. But Eric, as always, appreciate your time and insights.
Awesome. Thanks, David. Appreciate it.
You bet. See you on the next episode.
Sounds great.